So, hello, magical souls, and welcome here today. Thank you for joining us. I'm Katherine Tack. I'm an Akashic Record reader, and I'm a teacher, and I'm a guide. And I'm really excited about today's conversation because I feel we live in a world where so many people are questioning who they are, why they're here, and what their soul is trying to express. In this world, I believe tools like astrology and the Akashic Records feel more relevant than ever. And today I'm joined by the very wonderfully insightful astrologer Colin McPhillamy from Galactic Fragment. And together we are going to explore what astrology can truly offer the individual and how the Akashic Records can expand and maybe deepen that understanding. So, Colin,
Mm.
welcome.
Well, thank you very much, Catherine. It's really great to be here. I'm looking forward to exploring this crossover. Um, I mean, astrology, has, excuse me, many possible uses and applications. I think in the old days, um, before we all became more accustomed to the personal uses of astrology, it was for kings and princes and whole nations, to decide the fate of the ruler and how that would affect the people. Here's one example. I don't know if you'd be aware of this, but Queen Elizabeth I of England consulted her court astrologer, Dr. John Dee, who, by the way, used to sign his letters 007. It's true. Yeah, he was also a spy master, among many other things. And he decided on the 15th of January, 1559 at 12 noon would be auspicious for her to receive the coronation. Well, she reigned for 45 years, which is an incredible span of time in that period of history, not without challenge. But the first Elizabethans, it was a time of huge expansion and achievement and so on and so forth. So timing is a part of astrology. It's very useful. But it can also be used to find missing objects or to answer specific questions. Is this a good time to sell the house? What can I do to ensure I get the job I want? Those kinds of things. But in modern Western tropical astrology, which really has come back into the light through the 20th century, and particularly the last half of the 20th century, I think in a way, the most sophisticated use of it is as a tool for self-awareness, and it's really a sort of growth path um, method, you could call it. The chart can reflect, who you are. You probably know who you are. I mean, why wouldn't you? I would say you've had 20, 30, or 40 years of life, whatever it is, but the chart can reveal unsuspected depths, talents, possible challenges, ways to navigate them, those kinds of things. Um, so ultimately, I think that really what can happen is that it can be a way to develop greater personal freedom. Yeah.
Wow, Colin, I love the way you've described everything. That's amazing. Thank you. And I'd also love to start with a broad question.
Hmm.
Um, so, in today's modern spiritual world, beyond newspaper horoscopes,
Right.
what can astrology genuinely offer an individual?
So that's a great question. And it's interesting you say the newspaper horoscopes because those were brought into great popularity at the end of the 19th century by a man named Alan Leo. Good name for someone taking prominence in that way. And so they're the kind of frivolous end of the practice. Is it a good day to go shopping? Yes, but don't go mad with the plastic kind of thing.
Mhm.
Um, but if it weren't for the sun sign column, that was the sort of engine that brought astrology back into popularity, I think. However, having said that, there's a famous astrologer whom I follow, Rob Brezhny, who said trying to understand astrology through a sun sign column is like trying to understand a Mozart symphony through an advertising jingle. So it's worth realizing that astrology is an amazingly sophisticated magic, and to achieve mastery in that discipline is a long work. So what can it specifically offer you? Well, it can show you your temperament, your character, the sort of map of your psyche, your natural strengths, your challenges, the cycles of growth. We all respond as we go through life's journey to the planetary cycles. You've probably heard the phrase Saturn return. And that's because Saturn takes 29 Earth years to go around the sun. So at 29 years of age, the planet Saturn is in the same geometric relationship to the Earth and the sun as it was when you were born. That's an important cycle, and every planet has its own cycle. So, these cyclic events are really opportunities to examine and to gain insight. Why do I respond exactly like this? Why does this keep happening to me? And then these profound questions of why am I here? What is this lifetime about? And of course, there is a branch of astrology called evolutionary astrology, which is about past, possibly future lives as well. But a lot of modern astrologers like to keep the focus here, now, this life. What is this about? It's commonly said that in astrology, not everything that's in the chart will manifest. But on the other hand, anything that does manifest in your life can be found somewhere in the chart, you
Wow.
know.
And I think that is such an important point because astrology validates inner experiences. People often come to me feeling wrong somehow, and
Mm.
astrology can show them, no, this is actually part of your original wiring.
Yes, and yes, that's right. And the original wiring is each placement, each planetary placement by sign and house shows a particular energy and where that energy is in what part of your life. What it doesn't show you is how you will use it. Yeah. And I think so one way to say it is it shows potential, not destiny. I think we live at the interface between predestiny and free will. Obviously our free will is within certain prescribed limits. We're born in a certain time and place, family, society, context, that we can't change. But one of the most significant freedoms we have is the ability to change our attitude, right? I mean? And so, change of attitude can lead to a change of mind, a change of heart, and our lived experience can change with changes of attitude. So, it shows you a lot about yourself, or you can look at a chart and it depends where you are, of course. Are you ready to, this is a symbolic system, and symbols, you never come to the end of meaning with symbols. So you can tease out all kinds of information, your tendencies, your lessons, and so on and so forth. But the X factor is one of consciousness. So a birth chart is simply a snapshot of the positions of the planet in the sky at the moment of your arrival, your birth here on the Earth. And it applies to you and to anything else occurring at that moment. So the birth of, say, a chicken or an elephant will also, in its own way, show the qualities of that moment. But a human being, of course, has much greater potential than an animal. Some humans more than others. So take a Mars placement, right? Mars is is many things: drive, ambition, desire, strength, courage, and so on. But it can also show up as anger, as rage, as fury, uncontrolled. Think of a drunken brawl. A Saturday night coming out of a pub. Two guys going. That's Mars. Mars through the lens of, booze or alcohol. But we could see the very same energy exquisitely expressed in the movements of a Tai Chi master also. The martial strength, or you think of the Shaolin monks, same energy, very different level of expression.
That is incredible.
So,
I love that example. And that's also where I start to see a strong overlap with the Akashic Records because
uh-huh.
I know that astrology shows what is present in the field, and the Akashic Records reveal why it's there and
Oh.
how consciously you can engage with it. So I'm going to give a great example in a minute, but I just wanted to firstly, for everyone listening, explain what the Akashic Records is, because some people are new to the subject.
Mm.
And the records are essentially an energetic archive of the soul's journey. So we've had many past lives. If we have, then they are all recorded in your Akashic Records. It's a great library of information, and it records everything about your everything you've thought, everything you've acted on, everything you've said is recorded in all your lives. So all your past lives are there. They have access to your soul contracts. That's all kept in your library. And it also highlights karmic patterns, maybe talents, and even unresolved lessons.
Mm.
So when someone comes into the records, we're not predicting the future, we're accessing the deeper context behind their life patterns. So when I look at astrology alongside the Akashic records, I often see astrology as the blueprint and the records as the backstory.
Mm.
Yeah, and to give you an example of how I've been working with the Akashic records with someone, let's say the young lady, her star sign, her sun sign, sorry, is Capricorn.
Mm.
And as a cardinal sign, she has a very proactive and direct energy. And when we first met, she wanted to basically force everything to be her way. If she decided that it wasn't correct, she would want to then force everyone and everything to the very high standards that she holds herself to. But then,
Mm.
but then what she did is she was very frustrated in her daily life, and through the guidance from her Akashic guides, they taught her how to channel her excellent energy and drive into assisting the planet, the humans, the plants, the animals, without
Mm.
force, and instead to work with the flow and in sympathy with Mother Nature and all the physical tools that she has at her disposal. So her guides explained to her how her soul is a very old soul with many past lives and many incarnations, where she had previously, let's say, over-egged the custard and been too judgmental, or perhaps too focused heavily on the injustice of situations.
Mm.
And that just wasn't helping her in this lifetime. So she was getting frustrated by this part of her nature, but through their guidance, she is learning to not focus so heavily on the injustice of a situation, but to rather fix that which she can. And now she feels so much more fulfilled in her daily life.
Mm.
Whereas before she was obsessing over injustice, and it was actually making her feel unwell. She actually feel physically ill from
Right.
the situation. So, but she has been open-minded enough to channel that energy, and it's working out so incredibly well. Well, so,
Well, that's really what a lovely example. Capricorn, of course, is the most you could say managerial
uh,
of the signs, and it's very focused, often commonly on achievement. Uh, it's also its ruling planet is Saturn, which is about rules, regulations, procedure, tradition, all those good things. It's very structural. So it sounds like your client is achieving freedom within those constraints. Yeah. Also, I think Capricorn has rather been hijacked by patriarchal focus. It's actually a yin sign. It's a lot about, although it's a leadership sign with its cardinality, it's also can be very receptive and therefore responsive. Um, you mentioned a word earlier on the blueprint and the backstory. I love that because you might find those words in use by a screenwriter, and it seems to me that one of the opportunities as an incarnate human is this quest for authenticity and not to bend the metaphor too much, but in the movie of your own life, it's important that you play the lead. you know and often I think we show up as a minor character, the best friend or the guy in the corner shop or whatever. But if we're questing for to become more truthfully ourselves, which is of course one of the functions of astrology, I would say, on a personal level. Um, yeah, so I love that flexibility. So, I mean, it's often said that the sun sign is your hero's or heroine's quest, and the other planets are going to show you how to get there.
Yeah, makes sense, definitely.
Yeah. Mm.
Okay. Um, oh, sorry, you was talking about.
Yes. Yes. I mean, excuse me. One of the things I find fascinating in chart patterns
Mm,
is that often in a chart there's a signature, so to speak, and sometimes if that's repeated in different ways, then you can be sure that there's something to be looked at. Repeating planetary patterns or missing elements is an interesting one. Or if you're light, one of the four elements that the Greeks gave us the doctrine of elements, didn't they? The air, fire, water, and earth. Of course, we know that elements are composed of, many. Yuri Mendeleev gave us the periodic table of the elements. No, I mean the four elements of classical Greek philosophy correspond roughly to four functions of Jung: thinking and feeling, sensing and intuition. Um, and if you're light in an element, it can become very urgent in your life and it can take you by surprise. And the reason is that all of that element, so you're light in water, emotional function, all the water in the universe is trying to communicate to you, but has no way to do it. Or perhaps just a thing that ebbs and flows and maybe more time. So, it's great because it can give you extraordinary talent. I think Debussy was very light in water. And if you think of that music, it's full of, tone poem and it's very sensitive and so on and so forth. So, yeah. So patterns in the chart can point to where something, can be usefully worked with, where something needs attention. So I guess from what you've said, that can relate to the Akashic Records work. So, for example, in we have 10 planets and 12 signs, and 12 houses are the main components of an astrological chart. The 12th house is where we often find ancestral issues embedded. Sometimes, there are themes that go back, perhaps through our own past lives or those of our family dynamic, or and that can be very interesting to investigate. And there's this doctrine, isn't there, in all esoterica, if someone kind of turns around and gets healed in one life, it kind of extends backwards and forwards. Everybody in the ancestral line can benefit, and that the karma can be healed in this way. Am I right? You'd know more about that than me, I think. Is that
Yes, 100%. That is so true. So the way that the guides often explain it is they say, so we often come into this world with baggage, let's call it baggage, our karma, and we've brought it along through our past lives. But
right?
we'll often be like a magnet to a set of parents that have similar, one or two of them will have similar baggage or karma. So now, not only have we brought our own baggage, but we inherit their baggage as well. So we just got all this too much baggage that we need to get rid of. And the guys often say we need to relieve it from within a physical human frame. We can't,
Right.
when we cross over, we have to do it from a physical body. So I'm so pleased that there's so many enlightenment tools coming forward for us. And I certainly um, well, I certainly have been shown by my Akashic record team that I am a karmic and ancestral clearer. That's what I do
Mm,
in every reading. Well, not every, but most readings, I would say, because people are actually drawn to me because they need that heavy weight lifted
wow.
from them. So sometimes in the Akashic records, they will actually tell the person, where this pattern has come from, whether it's ancestral, karmic, or both, or chosen, because we can also choose certain things. One of the things I chose to be in this lifetime was humble, so I chose a specific father who would make sure I was humble. He did his job very well. Thank you. But then we had, we have to see that, we have to understand it, and we have to work through it. And we are, most of us are here for healing, to fix things.
Uh,
Yeah,
but
most of
can I
us.
just jump in there? Because what you said, it's something, it points out the extraordinary value
Yeah,
of a human life, doesn't it?
it really does.
I'm thinking I have a situation myself where
Yeah.
I get sort of inklings from the other side of what people would like to happen, but
Okay.
they can't do much from over there.
That's right.
It's got to be done here. So
St-
if there's anything to do, one should do it, while
Absolutely.
you got the chance kind of thing, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
So
and
the healing you were saying, yes, that's
yeah, uh,
and it's like that you have the way you work is this marvelous sort of super tool to for clearing and healing. Is that right?
that's right. So not only do the guides find where the problem is or where it's come from or what it is, they are also then able to give that person step-by-step guidance, or we do a guided meditation to do the actual karma and ancestral clearing,
Wow.
which is very, very powerful. And so many people have said to me afterwards, they're just blown away with it. And I can't take credit for it because it isn't me. I'm the channel. I'm very happy to be the channel that they work through. But very, very beautiful. They lift it up. But what is needed is that person's intention and permission to do so. And I also do find a lot of people come to me. They are naturally healers. They're not healers in the, they're not actively healing in their lifetime. In this lifetime, they've been told, like my parents, they didn't want me to be a healer. They wanted me to be an accountant or whatever they wanted me to be. I can't remember. But yeah, so they are living out their lives according to what other people want for them. Um,
Uh-huh.
but
Uh-huh.
as soon
Right.
as they come for a reading, we're able
Yeah.
to uncover that actually they're a healer, and often a lot of them are meant to heal their family line. That's why they're here.
Wow.
Their family line is broken, and there's so much pain and suffering and hurt and brokenness. And the star seeds, I call them star seeds because they've had experiences on other planets before they came here. They have come through with specific tools to help heal their own family line,
Mm.
but they often are estranged from their family because their family, they can see how broken their family are, and they have to disassociate to survive.
Mm.
But then once we go through their, we understand their, their blue, no, their blueprints, their backstories. We
Mm.
can then say, right, your family line has been praying for you to come. You agreed to do the healing. You don't have to get in touch with them again. Don't worry about that. But just do the
Mm.
healing for yourself and then for the family at the same time. And then we have massive amounts of progress going forward. We do mother wound healing, father wound healing, and whole family lines are healed as well. Very exciting stuff. And
Wonderful. Yeah.
yeah. But I was talking earlier about the Akashic Records. They also show how the soul intended to be healed or integrated. For
Mm.
example, a challenging Saturn placement might show restriction or responsibility, and
Mm.
the records might reveal a soul that chose mastery through discipline after lifetimes of chaos. That's another thing that comes.
Funny, funny you should say that. Yes, I'm laughing because well, I have a Sun-Saturn conjunction
Yeah,
uh, on the IC, as it's called, which is the lowest part of the chart. And in the bad old days, before there was psychological insight into Western astrology, that would be considered a very challenging placement. And of course, it is confronting. And there are lessons and challenges that you can't avoid with Saturn. That's what Saturn is for. Saturn is the archetypal taskmaster of the zodiac, and it's where we experience loss, failure, delay, discouragement, limitation, all those good things. But the promise of Saturn, its potential, is technique. It promises mastery through trial, and I'm able to tell you that in my life, while I do not claim any mastery, the symbolism of Saturn has played out in exactly such ways that I've never needed any other proof that astrology works. So so astrology says here's the lesson, and the records say here's why you chose it. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm pleased that you can laugh at everything because I'm also laughing because earlier
Yeah.
you mentioned, somebody could be weak in a water element, which we know I am. And well, that's how I started, but I was also frustrated by that, the same as Capricorn example earlier. So but what I did is then I worked on myself to make sure that I fixed as much of it as I could, and I found ways of changing that pattern so that I could improve myself. But
Right.
yes, but I was just also wanting to say that I think the combination of astrology and the Akashic Records is especially important today because modern spiritual seekers aren't looking to be told what to do. They want
Right.
understanding, sovereignty, and embodiment.
Yes, absolutely. Tools, not rules. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
tools,
I
models.
mean, I think the other thing to say about if you are light in an element or you have a particular pattern or placement, everything moves. The whole solar system, the whole universe is in constant motion. So situations do change of themselves. And of course, with the astrology, you can be sensitive that way to the timing. Uh, and I think also you can expand, your awareness, which is the foundation, isn't it, of consciousness, I guess. And uh, well, uh, in terms of the healing, I think one of the things that astrology can offer you, I mean, part of healing is forgiveness, isn't it? And forgiveness is, in my experience, easier said than done. Uh, but I guess it often begins with yourself. If you can truly forgive everything that you are and have done and said, you know, then you can perhaps forgive others or begin to. Yeah, but your point about that, about not, not being bound by rules, really, but this personal exploration, what it means to you. This is very Aquarian, I think, in its theme. Aquarius is this social sign. It's an air sign, so it's to do with thinking, the mind, the mental realm. Um, and there are two energies, particularly in Aquarius. One is the energy of the collective and cohesion and joining and being part of a group and group identity and extended family and friends and so on. But it's also profoundly individualistic. So it's being oneself with others who are also struggling to be themselves. This is where patience and acceptance and forgiveness can come in. I mean, it's not, we don't know. Excuse me, there are many different astrological views on whether we are genuinely in the age of Aquarius. Some people say it began back a few centuries back. Other people say it's not really here for a few centuries yet. But locally in this time, in the 2020s, um, there's been an Aquarian theme laid down there was a big conjunction in 2020 of planets in Aquarius. And so for the next at least 20 years, Aquarius will be highlighted and there will be Aquarian transformations. Um, I predict that's the wrong word. I'd like to make the distinction between a forecast and a prediction. It it may rain tomorrow, forecast. It will rain tomorrow, prediction. And I think I'm wary of prediction because, of course, there's a 50-50 chance of being wrong, and which is fine too. I mean, astrology is perfect. The shortcoming is in the practitioner, the astrologer. I haven't met a perfect astrologer yet. I've met some very good ones. Yeah, but this Aquarian thing will definitely be here until at least 2042. Pluto is in Aquarius at the moment. That's very significant on a sort of global level. Yeah,
Very good. And I think that's key. These tools are not about outsourcing authority, they're about
right.
helping people trust themselves more deeply.
Yes, it's that quest for authenticity, I think. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And I think for someone listening today, practical takeaways might be use astrology to understand what you're working with and use the Akashic Records to understand how to work with it.
Okay. Yes, I think that's right. And remember that challenging aspects don't mean failure. Uh, let's take the optimistic view and say they indicate mastery in progress. Um, so much of the way we interpret things depends upon our perspective.
Agreed. And in my experience, nothing in your chart or your records is there by accident. Um,
Right.
And just to touch on what you were saying earlier about forgiveness and it all being quite difficult, I would say that I know how difficult forgiveness is myself. But
Mm,
what I would say is the guides come up all the time and they say, um, don't worry about forgiving the person to their face. Okay,
mm,
that's something you want to do the forgiveness for yourself. You want to forgive them because often what happens is somebody slights you or they do something against you, and it might feel very personal to you, and you might actually feel you might start feeling yourself obsessing about it. You might feel focusing on the injustice of the situation, focusing on how incorrect it all is, and you end up making your life very miserable. Whereas the person who slighted you probably has completely forgotten about it. They're off living their life, having the best time, and you're actually seething. So the guides always say, if you're struggling to do the forgiveness work, listen to a guided meditation. There's a beautiful one that they downloaded to me, which I offer for free to people that are struggling with forgiveness,
mm,
and it helps you work with your subconscious mind to forgive things, even that you might not have even remembered happened to you, like maybe even in your early childhood. So
right.
it works with your subconscious mind to forgive those things and puts it on a timeline. And you work with the archangels, you work with beings of 100% light, and they actually help you get you over that line to the place where you actually accept yourself, accept that you made mistakes, forgive yourself, and forgive others a lot more easily than if you're just having to sit there on your own thinking, I really don't know how to forgive this person. So there is, if anybody wants that forgiveness guided meditation, just send me a little message and I will send that link over to you. But I just wanted to say, Colin, thank you for such a rich and grounded conversation today. I mean, it's been an absolute joy exploring how astrology and Akashic records complement each other and your excellent knowledge. I know you said you're not a master, but I think you are definitely a master of astrology. You always blow my mind with the information that you bring out. And certainly for anyone feeling called to understand their soul blueprint more deeply, both astrology and their records can offer profound insights, especially when approached consciously and with self-trust and with the right energy and mindset in place.
Wow. Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Catherine, for inviting me. Um, so I have an offer for anybody watching. Shall I mention that?
Yeah, please go.
Yeah, I'm actually embarking on a new phase in my astrological practice, which is more to do with. Here's what the foundation is. I find the more I study, you see all these books behind me. I've read some of them, or I've read something in all of them, but not all of them completely, so to speak. I find the more I study, the less I know. And I think it's like that, isn't it, with many disciplines. So I'm trying to be more receptive in a way. I live in Pleasantville, New York State in the USA, and it's a town that lives up to its name. There's a lot to recommend it. It is very pleasant, simple as that. And for a while, I had a physical office here in Pleasantville, but then so much of the work became online and so on. So I closed down the office and it's all on Zoom now, or I'll go locally to somebody in there if they want to meet me in person. But I've renamed the site Galactic Fragment because I want to explore the galaxy. But I've actually retained the other name because I still want to keep one foot on the Earth, so to speak. Anyway, it's a long way of saying while I'm exploring the galaxy, I still offer personal readings if anybody's interested. And I'd like to offer a 33% discount to anybody watching. Uh, Go to the site Galactic Fragment, book a reading, and on the payment page, use the code Akashic 26. Akashic because that's Catherine's area of expertise, and 26 because it's 2026. It's there if anybody would like it. I think it's valid for a month. If you book in the next week or two, you don't have to take the reading then. You can take it anytime, but make the booking. Akashic 26. That's it. Thank you so much, Catherine.
Wonderful. Thanks, Colin. And thank you all for listening. I look forward to seeing all of you at our spiritual workshops on the second Saturday of each month, or you can catch the replay if you missed the live. And you're so welcome to book a reading with me if it feels aligned. And all my contact details are in the description alongside this video. So until next time, stay magical. See you soon.